Welcome to I Write Out Loud. I am Dana Dubois. It is nice to see folks joining so quickly. Hi, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Um, do I look different today? Because I got a new iPhone, so I feel like the camera might be a little bit better. I don't know. I still feel like I look a little hazy. I think that's the weird, like, beauty filter that they put on. Uh-oh. Do I have any treats here for my dog? Y'all, I may have made a grievous error. Grievous error. I have not brought treats over. Give me 2 seconds and I will be right back. Okay, Kira. Use you. I'm coming. Okay, here I am. If I don't have treats for Kira, nature gnaws. Um, every, every dog owner's best helper who podcasts who needs her dog to be quiet. Something like that. They should be sponsoring the show at this point. Kira, there you go. Be quiet. All right, with that out of the way, welcome to I Write Out Loud. I am Dana Dubois, and yes, we are going to be talking about boobs today. So exciting! I figured I should wear something sexy if we're talking about boobs, because that only seems fair, right? I've been posting all this content. It was supposed to be for the last 2 days, and then Trump had to go be a complete moron and make us think he was going to blow up the world yesterday. So I thought it would be disrespectful as everybody was panicking about, is he or is he not going to nuke an entire country, to be like, I'm reading about boobs. So I didn't post any yesterday. So you got a whole lot of them today, a whole lot of excerpts from this story. But they got out there, and I'm happy that you're all here with me today to talk about this story more. I have a sternum tattoo. Thanks for repping us. Okay. Fun fact, most gay guys love boobs. Oh, I know that. You ready, Grandma? Because as I wrote in this essay, gay men love my boobs. I like that is a universal in my life. I can't explain it, but it is definitely a thing. I'm looking at my laptop here. Yep, there I go. I am in the live. Let me join and then make sure I'm muted. Good, I am. I am glad that you are all here today. I think I'm going to talk about I Write Out Loud for a couple of minutes while we wait for folks to join. If you all wouldn't mind, oh, I see some hearts coming in. If you all wouldn't mind clicking the heart button a few times, I think that signals to Substack that this is interesting content that other folks may want to watch. So I'm hoping if you click it, then more people will be like, what is this fascinating? Thank you. I see them all coming in now. What is this fascinating live going to be about? Oh, Madge says gay men are the only safe ones around here. And you ready? Grandma says, Madge, and I barely trust myself. You all are hilarious, and I love that. So let me tell you a little bit about me and I Write Out Loud. I Write Out Loud is my home for creative nonfiction here on Substack. I founded it a little over 2 months ago because, well, for a couple reasons. I needed a home for all of my nonfiction, all of the essay writing and memoir writing that I do. I realized after almost 3 years at it, it was just all over the internet, a lot's on Medium, and that's behind a paywall. I wanted to create a beautiful destination that like everything had a consistent look and feel like a publication for people to read and enjoy my work and for me to archive it. So that was the initial spark. I also thought, if I write out loud, I also want to speak it out loud. And so with each essay, I record myself reading it and I share the audio file. So if you prefer to hear your stories instead of read your stories, you can always click and hear me read it the way I intended it to be heard instead of the AI voice. If you prefer the AI voice, I do really appreciate that Substack and Medium both always have that for accessibility, but I like to elevate it a little bit more. So that is another piece of I Write Out Loud. But really, the interesting part of it to me is it is an act of audacity in trying political times that I came to realize at the start of this year that I had barely written in 2025. And it was because I was so kind of consumed with the news cycle and, running my podcast, The Daily Whatever Show, and bringing guests on and really trying to combat misinformation and all the things that we feel like we frantically need to be doing in the era of Trump 2.0. And I came to realize I wasn't writing anymore, both because I was so busy doing those things and because I was so worried doing those things. And so I Write Out Loud is my space where I say, art is important, storytelling is important. In fact, I think storytelling is going to be maybe what saves us. So if you are a writer, if you are an artist, if you are a musician, let this be your encouragement that your work is important. We cannot let this regime take that away from us. Please keep creating. And I Write Out Loud is that spot for me. And what I've come to realize is that the personal is always tied to the cultural. And these days, the cultural is always tied to the political. So while this is a home for creative nonfiction, it is also a place where I connect the dots between my lived experiences and the greater world around me. And I like to think that a lot of people are having similar experiences. So it's a place to build community and share around those experiences. So that is I Write Out Loud. If you are here in this live, I know that means that you are a subscriber, and I thank you. I set these lives up for everyone. They are free, but you do need to be a subscriber to join because I feel like that's a pretty low bar. You can just click the button and you're in, especially if you're going to see me and my boobs hanging out today. You should be figure that's good for subscribers. If you have the ability and you want to support my work at a deeper level, paid subscriptions are $4 a month or $40 a year. And I would appreciate your support. It is what keeps me able to keep this project going. I have a pretty ambitious goal of content. I have so much content to move over. I'm still writing new words every week. And sometimes they are even ready to share with the world. I am a slow and methodical writer. But yes, I would appreciate your support. I love that you're here as a subscriber. I thank you. And if you are here as a paid subscriber, extra double thank yous. And with that, please keep creating is so important, Madge and Dat. I think Dat is a place. I'm not sure where, but yes. Please keep creating if you can. I realize that's also coming from a place of privilege. Times are really hard right now. So if you cannot create right now, know that you can come back to it. But yeah, as much as you are able to, keep creating. We need to keep having art fuel us, right? You ready, Grandma? That's keep creating advice for writing, not for making babies. And if God is listening, he needs to stop too clearly. He hasn't mastered creation. You are hilarious. My babies are 16 and 18. I'm very happy I made them. But yes, it is scary putting babies out into the world because my first one is launching next year, right? In the fall, she goes off to college. And I write about that quite a bit. It is always anxious to send one's child out into the world. I feel like my eldest is pretty ready, but I don't like the world I'm sending her out to. That's for shit sure. So there will be lots of essays about that over time. I write about that quite a bit and will continue to as I process it and the world keeps moving forward. So Ali says, my boobs look glorious. Thank you. Oh, and you're here from Florida where it's chilly. It's super beautiful here in Seattle. I'm going to open my window for a second. Do you see the sun coming in? Actually, I might leave that open. Well, nah, it's not making that much of a difference. We'll leave the sun open. Allie, I grew up in Florida and I went to college in Florida. You'll have to tell me where in Florida you are because I grew up in Coral Springs. Having a female child is terrifying. Yes, I have two of them. So I know all too well. It is terrifying. And You Ready, Grandma says, today is one of the few days you can say, hey, my boobs are down there instead of my eyes are up here. That's funny. You're right. You ready, Grandma? You always crack me up. Is Florida ... smaller today ... from being cold? That's hilarious. Allie, you'll have to answer that question. I am in Seattle, as far from Florida as I could get, right? Are you back for another treat? Gosh, my dog has learned how to be very poorly trained because when I'm live, I'm like, fine. Ooh, this is a big one. She's going to be excited about this. Let this keep you busy. Here, wait, I'm going to turn the camera so you guys can see Kira being cute. Did you see how savage that was? Uh, you're near Legoland in Central Florida. Okay. I went to college in Gainesville. So, University of Florida, fighting gators, blah, 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 blah. That's me. All right. Let's jump in. Let's jump in and talk boobs, shall we? Why not? One of my favorite topics. Is my mouse working? It was. It is not now. Okay. So I'm not going to be changing Windows tabs all that often. So we should be fine. I have my notes here too. So let's start with the origin story. Actually, let me start by sharing the essay in case you just showed up because the headline said boobs and you haven't actually read the essay. It's right there. If you have not read it, I would love if you would. And once you have read it, I would love if you would restack it or comment on it or like it if you liked it. And I assume that you did because you're here, or maybe you don't care and you just want to gawk at boobs. Either way, my boobs are in the hero image. If you would restack it, I would really appreciate it because that is the only way to get attention on Substack. And it is increasingly harder to get attention on Substack, which we're going to talk about during today's live. So, the origin story. I joined Medium and started writing there in spring of 2023. So, it's been about 3 years. And I don't know how many of you are writers or readers on Medium, but there are tons of publications over there. And as a writer, you can ask to join and then submit stories to any of the publications that are there. I run a few of them. That's just kind of the ecosystem and how it works. And I noticed early on that there was a publication called Breast Stories. And I was like, okay, well, I have to write something for Breast Stories. Obviously, it's run by a woman. And what I really liked, I'm not sure if the publication is still active, but what I really liked about it, at least back then, was it was a publication for women. It was not it was not erotica. It was not lewd. It was just women talking about breasts in any way they wanted to. Maybe there were some stories by men that I missed. This is mostly what it was about. Sorry, I'm going to readjust because this wooden kitchen chair is not the most comfortable. So I was like, what do I want to write about for breast stories? I'm not really sure. But then it was the time of year when I had to schedule my annual mammogram. And this is something that always causes me immense anxiety. And I try in life not to be a hypochondriac. I think it's in my blood. Like I come from a long line of medical warriors. That's not warrior like fighter, it's warrior with an O, people who worry a lot. And I have tried to kind of work that out of my system to not be like, I'm worried about this test because there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to wait, and we all eventually get sick and have things, right? But the mammogram visit is always super anxiety inducing for me, and I think it's just because like the procedure is not great. They like pancake your boobs. Am I right, ladies? Any of you who've had a mammogram in this chat will know. But I don't mind it. It's not that uncomfortable and it's quick. It's more the like, so many women go in for just a mundane test and then find out that their lives are forever changed. And sometimes that they have a death sentence, right? Like it's pretty intense when you go in with that frame of mind. And I have had, in this story details, some irregular mammograms, and knock on wood, they have always ended up fine. But there's a lot of worry built in there. And eCare sucks. eCare is my doctor's like virtual system where you can schedule appointments and see test results. I don't think they should share test results like that just through eCare. I think the doctor should see them first and then send you the results. But I detail in the story that the very first, I had a few mammograms and they were uneventful. And then I think it was my 3rd year of getting them, 4th year, somewhere around there. At like midnight, I got a message from eCare and clicked through. And it just said, mass, right breast needs further imaging. I almost had a heart attack, right? Like it was so scary. So like if my doctor had written it, she would have been like, we saw this, it's really common. We just need to take another look. Try not to panic. Because she has bedside manner, but eCare does not. So I booked my mammogram and then I wrote this essay very quickly as a way of like facing down my anxiety. And audience question, I'm going to pause here and ask and come back to the chat. Like, am I the only one who feels immense anxiety around mammograms and awaiting results on mammograms? I would be very interested in hearing your feedback. I'm going to look here. Allie says, as a large, glorious boob woman myself, I understand completely. Um, Madge says, if I could pancake random nuts, I wouldn't feel so bad. Yeah, for the gentlemen who don't know what a mammogram is like, I'm looking to see if I have anything circular here. I should have brought a balloon. But basically, like, if this is a boob right here, it gets like awkwardly shoved between two plates, like pieces of like plastic like this. They put it, like they stick your boob in there, and then it compresses your breast down as like flat as it can get for imaging, and you just have to sit there and hold it for a few seconds while it beep, 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 it takes photos. And then they turn it and they do it another way, like this and like this. So it's kind of painful. And hot tip for women, if you still get periods, don't do it when you have your period because your boobs are more sensitive. And oh my God, it hurts. Ask me how I know. Anyhow, Allie says extreme anxiety, even scheduling it. Me too. So I wrote this essay nearly 3 years ago. It was written in 2023. And I'm due to start scheduling mine soon because you have to book it out pretty far in advance. And I already feel a sense of anxiety about it. It's my like, when you have like your things you're worrying about that are going on in life. When I don't have anything to worry about in life, this is like the anxiety I return to of like, I wonder if I could just like panic about my mammogram and the results that it might have. So it's very anxiety inducing because I did have 3 in a row that came back irregular that needed further testing, and they were all fine. But that really made it bad for the anxiety levels. Let's see here. Not at all. Mammos are so fucking stressful. Yes, they are so fucking stressful. Linnea says, normally not a lot of anxiety, but on the occasions they have a questionable result, which has happened to me too. I get freaked. Yep. Madge says, extremely painful. Different women have different levels of sensitivity, and I would say it's painful but manageable for me. I don't mind the discomfort of it because it's over quickly. I mind the emotional discomfort of like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And it freaks me out because the tech who's running it, who can't tell you what they see, that they're either looking and they're like, this looks fine, or they're looking and they're like, oh shit. And it freaks me out that they just have to be like, well, Dana, thank you. Your results will be coming soon, because they're not the ones who are allowed to tell you how it went. That to me is a crazy head game. You'd rather have a molar extracted. Yeah, I dislike oral, like dental work more than mammograms. The actual process. I don't worry about dental. Like I've only ever had 2 cavities, so maybe that's why I don't worry. But it's not something that's life changing. So that's what's less anxiety. Lynn says, super anxious. My last one came back with a mass behind my ear. Oh, wow. Yeah, that is, Allie, I've lactated during a mammogram. It was very mortifying. Oh my gosh. I'm sure they've seen it before, but yeah, that's, so you were nursing when you had a mammogram. But I must have been too, because I had my second child right before I turned 40. I might have waited because she didn't nurse for very long because I was working at a really stressful job and my milk dried up and it was really sad. But I don't think I had an overlap. Isn't that funny that I can't remember? I don't think that I did, but that would be embarrassing, though they've seen it before. So I'm glad to hear I'm not the only one. Thank you. I take great comfort in that. So I write this essay kind of in a flurry off my fingertips. I send it to Breast Stories and I'm like, that was cute. It was more like therapy writing than anything else. And then this story like blows up. It is far and away the most popular story I have ever written by traffic. And this amuses me to no end. And I inadvertently became like an SEO queen on this one because for a very long time, if you Googled, at least when I would Google amazing boobs, I was the top hit. And so I got so much traffic to Medium. The story was, of course, not boosted because it's not literary and they're not going to boost something about boobs. So it didn't make like a ton of money, but actually, hang on, I'm going to log into Medium and just, I won't do that. Maybe someday I'll do that. But it's like exponentially more than anything I've ever written in terms of traffic. If anyone in the chat wants to Google amazing boobs and tell me if I'm still on the first page of search results, that would be fabulous. But it always kind of cracked me up to think about like men who are like, or maybe other genders, but I'm assuming it's mostly men being like, I want to see some amazing boobs. And they Google it and they get one photo of my 50-something-year-old rack and a story about like mammograms and me being like, I love my boobs, they're awesome. This thought amuses me a lot. I'm going to come back to the chat because I can see there are more comments in here. Allie says, I had stopped nursing, but stress caused me to still lactate and leak. Wow. It was that stressful for you. I'm sorry. That's tough. And Madge says, all the women in my geographical area have had cryosurgery for irregular uterine cells in our 20s. Feels like the Muskegee experiments. Wow, that is intense. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people who had that because the irregular cells were cervical and it was HPV. That was really, really, really common. I'm sure it still is, though. If people are getting vaccinated, it should be less. But let's see. I am using the phrase my 50-something-year-old rack in everyday conversation from now on. Let's make it a thing. My 50-something-year-old rack is still attracting a lot of attention. It was an SEO winner for a very long time. Hold on, I'm going to come back to my notes because I know I'm going to get distracted just talking about boobs. But here's the thing. I'm being very tongue-in-cheek, being like, boob, 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 boob. But I do want to talk about a couple of things around that. The attention question. So this has a few sides to it. The story got very big on Medium, as I said. It was like quintuple D big. Brought a lot of traffic. I did post this to Substack when I joined last year. I posted pretty early on. The Substack article is the first one after next on Google right now. Oh, so it's pulling Substack earlier. I bet it's the older Substack article because I posted it and you can tell the difference by the image. Hold on, I'm going to do that. I posted this to Substack when I first joined. Looking here, amazing boobs. I only have like 8 on my, oh yeah, same. It's the first page, first on the second page. There's not very much on the first page though. Oh no, it's pulling this story from 2 days ago. Well, that's kind of amazing. I love that. But I put this on Substack when I first joined and it got thousands of eyeballs on it. And it got so many that Substack started blurring out the image. Like it was censored because it was boobs in a t-shirt, but whatever. It was too much for Substack to handle. But it did bring a lot of attention. And a lot of it was positive, like it has been this time. But some of it did what I like to call jumping the wall. So I got the red pill guys. They started sharing it like, this is just women proving that the only thing they are their bodies and their tits and blah, 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 blah. And they were, I posted it the same week. I posted something about my younger daughter when she was going through her gender journey. And they really jumped on the fact that those two were out at the same time and what a bad mother I was. And it generated a lot of buzz. And I kind of took it as all attention is good attention. Thanks, fellas. Thanks for sharing it. It was bringing more eyeballs to the story. So one thing I want to say is it is hard to get air on Substack right now as a writer of long form writing, an essayist. If you're swearing about Trump, if you're writing really viral notes, um, if you have a podcast that's really big, you're getting a lot of eyeballs. But boy, the focus away from like posts, actual stories, is real. And I just want to say that here because I always have a mission to educate about what I'm observing on Substack. And this go around, this story, first of all, it's pulling already from Google SEO. That's pretty exciting. But it has only gotten 59, likes. I think it got like 400 or 500 last time. And I had a far smaller following. Not that my following is very big right now, but I was brand new. So I would be interested in hearing from any of you if you are writers on Substack or podcasters. Are you having a harder time getting attention for your actual long form writing here? And by long form, I just mean a full essay, not like a note. Notes, Notes and video seem to be where Substack is focusing its attention. And I'm just laughing because today, I shared this story 2 days ago, but today I made 6 notes, all posting to this story with content, with literal picture of my boobs attached to it. Plus, I did a little live this morning real quick and then posted a video clip of it talking about like, I'm going to be talking about my boobs today, get ready. And still it has, hold on, I'll look at the data here. It's gotten 59 hearts and 22 comments and 16 restacks. I am grateful for those things. Total views, 1,377. That is quite small in the context of Substack, right? So hold on, I'm going to come back to the chat and just ask, like, is anyone having a harder time getting attention to their stories? I would be interested to hear if you're comfortable putting it on here. So let's see here. Madge says, "You're awesome. I appreciate the attention our recs attract no matter what the reason." Ali says, the manosphere is exhausting. It is. And the duality of it, right? I'm both relieved I'm not dealing with them right now, but also I'm like, hey, if you all wanted to restack this and talk about how much you hate it, it helps the story get air with the right people too. So it's not the worst thing when the red pill side of Substack starts popping off. That Substack is a motherfucker. I blame Anderson Horowitz. Yep. I don't bother with long form. It's not worth it monetarily. That's probably true. I was just joking with a friend the other day because I was like, this is the work I'm meant to be doing. This is the work I love doing. I feel like it fuels me. And also, I think when people find it, I think it resonates. Like, this is, to me, important work. It is the work I love. And I'm like, why couldn't I love like something really profitable, right? Why couldn't I love computer science? Why couldn't that be my passion? Why must I be passionate about something that is not monetarily advisable? I don't know, but here we are, right? So I do it because I love doing it. And it's, in my mind, it is important. And that's why I am trying hard to get air. Because in an ideal world, this is what I wake up and do with my days. And I still do it, but not with the full volume of my days because, I have to do work that pays my bills and all of that good stuff, as we all know. That's why I value my paid subscribers so much. If you want to become a paid subscriber, a little shout out. Okay, I'll keep going. Ali says it's definitely concerning. However, it's not out of the ordinary for them to prioritize certain features every now and again. So I'm hoping that's what it is on Substack. Yeah, Ali, I think that's true, but I think it also signals the future direction where Substack truly used to be a home for writers. It is a social media platform now. And I still think it's a place where publishers look. It's a place where outside publications look of like, oh, they've got a big following. That means something. But I don't think long form writing is the core competency of Substack any longer. In fact, by the time I even arrived a year ago, it already wasn't, but it's just moving further in that direction, in my opinion. The work we've been doing is going to land us in warehouses. You may be right. I know I'm an enemy of the people by the freaking Trump definition of being what I'm not a Christian nationalist, and I believe that gender is not a binary, and I think gay people are real, and I'm a religious. Like, ooh, I think I looked at their 7 points with the NSM7 or whatever, and I'm all 7 proudly. So if you're going to the warehouse, I'm going to be there too. I will not fare well in a warehouse, to be clear. Um, this is not farce book. It is not, but it also, they definitely, it is like the benevolent social media place for now. I hope it stays. Trolls make long form writing so stressful. I have been lucky here, maybe. I have not had a lot of troll activity. You can only be an enemy when they learn how to read. Thank you, Linnea. I love that. That's hilarious. They have AI to read for them, though. They've got open AI, which is why I quit ChatGPT and now Claude is my bot assistant. But you know what? Claude is not as good as ChatGPT. Fight me. Claude is always confused. Here's a really funny thing about AI. Sorry, I'm going to go on a slight tangent, but I use an AI agent to help me with a ton of things in my life, including like as I'm getting ready, because I'm running on such tight time margins, as I'm like brushing my hair and getting ready, I'm dictating into Claude, like, here are the talking points. Please compile this into a list so I can reference it. It's super helpful, right? But I open an instance of Claude and I put the essay in so it has it for reference. And it like just spews out today. This just happened, like this whole like my writing principles. And I was like, the fuck are you doing? Why did you write all that? And it was like, you're right, I'm confused. But then it'll be like, it's been 3 days since this happened. And I'm like, no, that happened 3 hours ago. It can't tell time. That's my point here. Sorry, I got a little on a tangent, but it'll be like, oh, Dana, why don't you go get a good night's sleep and you'll feel better? You're too tired to be doing this work. And I'm like, because it's 10 in the morning. Like, how do you not know what time it is? It's like built into the iOS of the device that we're talking on. I don't understand how AI is going to take over the world when it doesn't know what day it is or what time it is my point. So let's come back to the essay. We can talk about AI another time. So the male gaze, the attention question of writing an essay like this. It is not accidental. Obviously, as a woman trying to get attention on the internet for my work, I am aware that if I write boobs and I put my boobs on here, even as a 50-something old lady, it will get attention. Not as much this time. Like I said, it is harder to get air here on Substack. Is that a feminist problem? I don't know. I don't know that I have answers for that. To me, I'm being a bit tongue in cheek because I'm not leading to my OnlyFans. I'm not putting crazy raunchy stuff out there. Right now I'm like, I'm here in a low cut little slip, whatever. I would wear this out to dinner if you're lucky enough to be my date. The picture that I posted, like I leave my house without a bra on and a t-shirt sometimes. I'm not posting anything that's like crazy outside norms. Am I aware it will get attention? Yes. And I am okay with that. But also, this essay is a statement of feminist audacity, and I know that sounds contradictory. But I didn't see it this way when I wrote it, but revisiting it now, which is one thing I love about I Write Out Loud. I love revisiting my old work and seeing it with fresh eyes. Women are constantly barraged with messages of what is wrong with us. Right? And it makes us spend a lot of money on beauty products. I just went to Sephora today. Do you like my new lipstick? I do love lipstick, but you can like sneeze $100 in Sephora. It's just crazy how expensive everything is there. But we are told, especially about our bodies, all day, every day, you're too fat, you're too skinny, you have too much hair, you have, this is in the wrong place. Your butt needs to be bigger. No, now your butt needs to be smaller, depending on what decade it is. To pause and just be like, I know I'm imperfect, but this is a way about how I made that. This is something I really like about myself. Not only do we not feel it, but even if we do feel it, we're told not to take pride in how we look like that. Like it's seen as, it's frowned upon, right? It's just not, you very, very rarely just see someone be like, I think my ex is beautiful. Ex, not my ex-boyfriend, but like insert variable X is awesome. And here's why. And I did, out of anxiety around my mammogram, I wrote this essay like a love letter to my boobs, acknowledging how wonderful they've been to me because I was anxious about them. And I still am because I'm about to go schedule another one. Um, but I really see that as an audacious statement of just like, um, this story is written by a woman for women, really. And I think the responses to it, by and large, have proven that. Like I've gotten way more, more by miles comments from women, and they've all been positive. I think. I'm trying to think if I've gotten any negative ones. I don't think so. Um, so I would encourage you all, as an act of audacity, to just think about like what's a part of your body that you're just like, I love my nose, or I have really pretty hands, or whatever it is. Um, do it out loud if you wish, or even if you just say it to yourself, or if you want to put it in the chat. Hold on, I'm going to go to the chat and just say, like, I think this part of me is beautiful. I put a note up last night about how, when we're young, we're sort of sold this idea that our bodies are commodities to be consumed by the male gaze or society in general. And as we get older, we are told we're invisible and we disappear, but we're never told to just like our bodies. And it's taken me a very long time to be like, my body is deeply flawed. I am not pretty, but I love the way I look and I love my body and it's great. Does that mean I never want to change it? No. Does it mean I think it's perfect? No. Do I take GLP-1s? Yes. Um, these things are not mutually exclusive. But starting from a place of like, you know what, this is what I was dealt, and I'm grateful for it is good. And then to be like, and I have great hair and great boobs. I don't know why, but that's what the universe granted me. So I am going to read the comments, and while I do, if you all want to just share, men or women, any genders, people of any gender, if you just want to pop off and say like, this is what I like about the way I look, I would love to read it. If you're not comfortable doing that, don't worry about it. Let me see here. AI is alleged intelligence. Yeah, there's things AI can do really well. Um, AI cannot write in my voice. Not. It probably will be able to one day, but even when I feed it all my essays, I have tried and it can't. And I'm happy about it. Because the day I can be like, write me an essay about X, Y, Z, this is the conflict point, this is the this, write it in my voice, go, and it can just write the essay for me. I don't know, maybe then I have to find a new hobby. That would just make me very sad because the craft of writing is like a true love of my life. So I'll probably keep doing it, even if AI can do that. But that would be frustrating because then people could just be like, write this essay in the voice of Dana Dubois, write this essay in the voice of Linnea or Magda and Dat. Like, we'll probably get to that point pretty quickly where AI can do that. But anyhow, topic for another day. Let me see here. I told Mom this AM, the fact that you taught me how to read has complicated my life. You'll have to explain that one more. I'm not quite sure what you mean. I love that you made the male gaze, Gaze, the male gaze, Gays. That's very funny. Okay, audacity is in the eye of the beholder. In all things, I would say. To me, living out loud, writing out loud, speaking out loud as a 50-something woman on the internet is an act of audacity. Not fading away is an act of audacity. Speaking truth to power simply by coming on a live and being like, fighting what this administration stands for, that is an act of audacity, and potentially, could have negative consequences. Although, boy, there's a lot of us to chase down. All of these things are audacious, right? Um, Harry says, I'm 80. I'd better leave before I have heart palpitations. Take care of your health first, always. You are the way that the creator made you. It's all good. Thank you, Bob. I am the least religious person you'll ever meet, but I think that is a beautiful statement. Whatever you believe that creator is, yes. Also written for teenage girls. People don't appreciate the influence social media has on them. I know I have two in my house. So I am all too aware. I stopped giving any fucks about any of that after menopause, and it's been great for me. Allie, here's a funny thing that I think I'm going to write an essay about one of these days. I have a working title of just like, psst, ladies, like menopause is amazing. But I'm in menopause now. Like perimenopause, the lead up and the hormonal these things are like that is tricky and challenging to navigate. But now that like I'm done, I love it. There's no cycles anymore. You're not beholden to these, this 30-day cycle. You don't need tampons anymore. Sorry, gentlemen. Actually, I'm not. You all should know what periods are. Um, I like being menopausal is kind of amazing. Women should know that, especially now that if you can be on HRT, it's like it's great. AI can't be me. No, it cannot. Mona, hi. Two great things to get right, hair and boobs. I love my hands, but all of me is pretty great. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Amen. We need like a group menopause article. Yes. Loving postmenopause. I have a draft folder entitled Menopause is Awesome. Yeah. Um, we should totally do this. I'm going to write this article and then we are all going to talk about it here. Or maybe we should do a live where a whole bunch of women come on and we all like have our 5 minutes to be like, I think menopause is awesome and here's why. And then we can cut all the video clips and we can like share it. Because I don't know about you all, but growing up, like menopause seemed like this scary cliff that you go off of and then you just die, right? There's nothing after that. And I'm like, no, that hasn't been what it's like at all for me. Like, I life just goes on. I mean, and I find it pretty great and liberating. So we should absolutely have this article. Everybody with me? I see word coming in here. Okay, we're going to make this happen. I'll be moving at the pace of Dana, which is to say, I have a lot of competing priorities, but I will get to that story. I will. It is already in like my top 5 to 10 that I want to be writing next, which maybe I'll take a vote at the end of like, which story should I work on next? The Substack Menopause Collab. Yes. Once a month, I think a lot of you know this, once a month I host Crone Cocktail Hour with my friends Oceana Teffenhurt and Karen Marie Shelton. We do it for the new moon each month, like right around the time of the new moon. It'll be on, I think, Wednesday the 15th. It's the Wednesday next week. I think that's the 15th, that evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And we each bring I think I'm the only one that actually brings an alcoholic beverage, but we each bring a beverage because it's Crone Cocktail Hour. And we talk about the month before and we talk about what's happening in the planets. I don't talk about that as much because Karen is the resident expert. Oceana fills in with some more woo spiritual stuff. But we set intent for the following month, and it's been really effective. This month's theme for me is catch air. How to catch air. Oh, Linnea, your menopause was caused by cancer surgery. It's taken a while to get to menopause is good. I'm sorry, Linnea. I know that's a way harder way to get to it when it's abrupt. So I'm sorry. I didn't mean to sound glib about it. But I'm glad that you are settling in a good place. And I'm sorry that you went through that. I hope you're okay now. So you're right. I need to be a little less glib. The only reason I'm saying it in such a glib way is because I only ever heard menopause as like menopause, like this terrible secret where you dry up like a sad old crone. I'm now taking back the word crone. I also really like the word dotage. Like in my dotage, I wish to be financially stable so I can spend my days writing stories and having chats on the internet. That would be a love with my pets. That would be a lovely way to spend my dotage. It's a funny old fashioned word and I really like it. Let me see here. I admire your ability to unapologetically bring an alcoholic beverage. Yeah, I mean, I don't drink that much, but every now and then a cocktail is a good thing. I didn't sound glib. Thank you. Nothing is more freeing than menopause. Match. I can't wait. We're going to do these little speeches and it's going to be amazing. All right, coming back to this essay, because I did have a few more talking points I wanted to make sure we got to. Yeah, it's coming back to that attention question that this is an act of feminist audacity. This is the paradox. It's an act of feminist audacity, but it is also unquestionably attention seeking in an attention seeking economy. Is there anything wrong with women using this strategically, even if the work is for women? I don't have an answer there. I don't think it's wrong, or I wouldn't be doing it. I have been called out on it by men mostly. I hear their point, and also, Freud, I don't know, made you look. That's my only response to that, I guess. If you all have any feedback on it, I am interested in hearing your thoughts. Let me come back to the chat. Hello, Lynette in Northeast Pennsylvania. It is good to see you. I love how Heather Cox Richardson shows up. Mona, is that HCR? I assume is Heather Cox Richardson. I mean, she is a goddess. So yes, she is a gift. I love how she shows up too. I bet she is also postmenopausal. Maybe that's why she always writes late at night. Because I know for a lot of women, it becomes harder to sleep. I have not had that problem. My sleep problem is that I have a 7 a.m. podcast nearly every day, and I'm not a morning, and I'm a night owl by nature. So I'm constantly fighting my own circadian rhythms. I always feel like I'm living in the wrong time zone, and so I run sleepy. But I sleep really well once I'm in bed. Let's see here. I think I've hit most of my talking points. I wanted to make sure I talked about my accidental SEO championship, which I got to already, and that the attention economy is real and it's challenging. It is hard to get attention on Substack. Even like this live, like how many folks do we have in here now? Almost 40. I've had lives with 200 people. I can never quite tell which ones will get a big crowd and which won't. Perhaps Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time is challenging. I don't know. I'm happy you all are here, and I don't mind either way. But do you all have any questions for me? I've kind of gone through my talking points that I wanted to hit on. During the Sunday Salon, which I host at 1 p.m. Eastern time, I'm always doing math conversions, 10 a.m. my time. That's a more intimate gathering. That's for paid subscribers, where we had to dive in like another cultural level, and we will be hitting on a few deeper talking points on this one around the kind of more of the behind the scenes stuff of what happened when I went into the doctor's office, and the irony of dense breasts, which is getting a bit technical here, but the thing that maybe makes them look good makes them image poorly, and it causes this stress around mammograms. I'm going to dive in a bit more to the personal story there. I feel better about doing that behind a paywall. So for those of you who are paid subscribers, I hope you will join me. And for those of you who are not, perhaps you will consider a paid subscription to come join in on that conversation on Sunday. For now, Mona, you asked repeat last point. I'm not sure which point you mean, but if you clarify in the chat, I'm happy to repeat anything I just said. Lynette says, you are right. It is strange. I can't figure out the Substack algorithm. It's strange because it keeps changing. Like, I think that's the most challenging part. They seem to constantly be testing things and moving things around. So it's hard to try things as a creator and be like, that really worked. And then be like, oh, and now it didn't. And I'm not sure why. So I look for patterns. And what I've seen in launching I Write Out Loud, sometimes I'm sharing stories that I had shared already on Substack last year. And I'm seeing them getting far less traction this year, universally, even though I personally have a bigger following and have learned stuff and have learned how to use notes, still smaller. I think there's a few reasons. I think Substack has grown astronomically. And so there's just a lot more noise to cut through. And they've also brought in a lot of superstars, celebrities and like big name newscasters, and they are getting a lot more of the air. And I also think that they choose what they elevate and what they suppress, and they are clearly elevating notes and lives far more than they are elevating actual stories. I rarely, in my feed, when I just open to see what my hundreds and hundreds of subscribers and followers are up to, I always see notes and video. Every now and then there's a story, but it's pretty uncommon. And even then, it's usually because there's a note about the story. So it's tricky. It's really tricky to try to figure out what's working. Let me see here. Yes, the pancake makers, I call them. I assume you're talking about the mammogram things, and you're right, they're pancake makers. I wish I could participate in Sundays. It's lonely out here for us dense breast people. It is. You are not wrong. But there are a lot of us, I think. I think so. Substack can't figure out the Substack. I think that that's true. Enjoy yourself however you show up. I always do. I have a ball doing this. I mean, wouldn't be here, right? This is super fun. It keeps changing because it's controlled by men, y'all. That's probably true. Let's see. Hi, Misuse. I see you just joined. Focus is being pulled. And Lynette, yes, you always restack and comment on my work, and I'm so grateful. It really, really, really does help. I think restacks are what like drives the oh, did you guys hear my dog just growl? Oh my gosh, hold on. I'm going to show you guys what my dog does when I'm here. She just likes to lie on the floor. Do you see her just being like a complete loaf? Don't mind all the messy shoes behind her, but Kira, we're talking about you. She's such a funny little dog. But she just did this loud, low grrr. I think the cat got too close, and she was like, I am not having it. Let's see. Oh yes. So if you restack or comment on my work, it like you have no idea how much it means. It truly is great. So actually I'm gonna put the link in here again because I haven't done it in a while and a lot more folks have joined. If you would be so kind as to restack my story, it would make me very happy. And it's been 2 days. I think you get a couple days to start generating excitement. And after that, Substack's like, yeah, we're not paying attention to you anymore. So this is the tail end of when it can catch air. So restack it. And then maybe some jerks on the other side of Substack will find it and be like, look at this old unfuckable lady. We're going to restack and make fun of her. And then it'll travel really far and get a lot more eyes on it. That's the irony of, the red pillars on the other side of Substack being jerks, is it works to our advantage. So it's funny. Do you think restack with a quote? I was trying both. I can't figure. Yeah, I don't know if it does better if it's a quote or if you just restack it and write your own feedback. I don't know. I think any restack helps. That's my opinion. Actually, my opinion, and I don't have data to back this up yet because the dashboard doesn't make it very easy to tell. But anecdotally, just from an observation, if I restack something, versus if I just share the article and write my own words. I think if I share and write my own words, more people respond to it. I think people gloss over, as pretty as those restacks look, I think people gloss over it a little. And they respond more if you write something personally. But I don't have data to back that up. That's just a hunch. So don't quote me on that. Or if you do, say that I'm not sure. I do love being able to chat with you about something you wrote and how it came to be. Thank you, Allie. That's why I do these lives. You have no idea how happy it makes me to do this kind of stuff. It fills my bucket. Here's an idea I had, and I would love to run it by you all to get would you be interested in this? I was posting 2 stories a week and then going live on Wednesdays and on Saturdays to discuss them each. I'm now only posting 1 essay a week, and I do the Sunday Salon for paid subscribers, which is that deeper dive. So the Saturday one is kind of extraneous, and I ended up canceling last Saturdays because I was on with Julie Roginski and Michelle Kinney, and it went really long. It was a 2.5-hour live. It went right over mine, and I was kind of exhausted after 2.5 hours. All that said, I would love to go live on Saturday, but I don't think it makes sense for it to just be me talking about whatever. I would like to have an intent. What would you all tune in for something that was like a writers on writing? If I brought in other memoirists or fiction writers, other like writing nerds. And we talked about the craft of writing. Maybe they would read an excerpt from something they'd written, and then we would dive into like, how did you write this? Sort of the ideas behind their essays or short stories. Would that, sorry, adjusting again, would that be interesting or would that be boring? And you can be really frank because if this is not something that would interest you, then I don't want to do it. But what would you all think of that? I see a yes, yes, yes. Sounds cool. All right. Just what I need is another project. But wouldn't it be fun? I want to like make a bumper sticker that's like, make Substack about writers again. And I feel like this would be a way to do it. I also had the thought of working with other writers, and this would be a paid subscriber benefit, but offering trainings about writing, like, you know, I don't know, use of first person in memoir. Let's do a little like hour or 2 hour training with our paid subscribers. Do you all hear that? Kira, are you okay? Oh, there's a dog barking outside. Sorry if you all can hear making a fuss. But like one thing I love doing is writing music focused memoir. How to write about music in a way that both is honest to the music, but also is tying it into your first person experience. Like that would be an interesting class to teach. I think that would be really interesting paid content potentially. I don't think that's something that I or other writers would probably do for free, but I feel like, do you guys think something like that would be interesting? I'm a total nerd and that sounds amazing. I get more feminist writers now and finding more multicultural writers too. Great. If you have good ones, send them my way because I am trying to find them as well. I guess it would depend on the writer. Some don't have much process, raise his hand. Oh, Linnea, I bet you do. You just haven't defined it as a process. Um, um, FDJT and write aloud. Oh, Lynette, I love that. Hey, Marty, I want a feminist creative nonfiction writing group. I love this idea, Mona. And this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about of like getting together a like-minded group of people and being like, I don't know if we could do it as like a paid subscriber live, or maybe it would need to be a Zoom chat if everybody was going to be interactive and talk. I haven't, thought this all out, and I'm trying to be very mindful of my own bandwidth. But I feel these are ideas coming to mind for me that I'm like, this would be fun to do and a great use of community. So Mona, we should talk because I am starting, the Thursdays on the Daily Whatever show, I'm hosting a feminist hour. So I am finding very interesting writers who I think might be into that. Let me see here. Any help with writing for publishing in an academic journal? I would not be the person to teach that. I have never been published in an academic journal, but I could probably find someone who has. That would be an interesting topic, wouldn't it? I got your mom fiction right here. I got your mom fiction right here, Madge. Lynette says, I have a writing group at church. We are on Zoom and we have different prompts to choose from and then we share. Oh, what a nice community idea. Hold on, I feel like I missed a few comments up here. What does this say? Do you get your restacks too? I get notified when my work is restacked, if that's what you mean. And I love seeing it. So thank you whenever you do that. Let me see here. Doesn't matter what you do. They only want male voice. Oh, male voices in the foreground. Is that true about Substack? A lot of in the news space, the like leftist newscasters, a pretty big majority of them are male, but I think that's reflective of the industry. I think they just want big famous names that are going to make the money. I think they're okay if they're women. I don't know, but it's definitely men sitting at the table making the decisions. Let me see right here. Lynette says, I sent you one article in messages. Thank you. I will take a look when I'm done with this live. I would definitely be interested in feminist creative nonfiction writing as that's what I do. Great, Allie. I love that. Mona is asking Bob what discipline. And then a bunch of hellos. Hi, Laura. Allie, DM me and I'll pass on names. It is true. No penis, no bandwidth. Yeah, you may be right. I'm sure you're right. That seems highly likely. You all, this has been such a fun way to spend an hour. That just flew by. I'm not much creative writing in a while. Having inspiration would be nice. Yeah, that's why these groups are fun. Since we just had a few new people join, this is my essay of the week. So I'm on Boob Week. Kind of like on the Great British Bake Off, they have like it's Patisserie Week or it's Chocolate Week. I'm having Boob Week here on I Write Out Loud. So I will be undoubtedly posting more boob content in the days to come. I'm trying to decide what essay theme for next week. I have a few story ideas, but if I'm being honest, I probably don't have the bandwidth to bring one to completion. I have a few in the works. Before I sign off, do you want to hear some ideas I'm thinking about writing about? Actually, I don't even know if I have any that are quite that ready yet. Let me go look at my drafts. For those of you who are writers, here's a process question. Do you have like a place where you have to write? Like, do you write with pen and paper? Do you write in Word? Do you write in Google Docs? Do you write in Substack? Do you write in Medium? Where do you work on your drafts? And does it have to be in that place, or are you agnostic about where you do your draft writing? I'm going to pause and see what you guys say, because I have a process now. I don't know if it's a good one, but it's just what I do. Okay, Bob, heavy applied physics with connection to current events. Wow, that sounds fascinating. I almost failed high school physics and I almost lost my scholarship. And my very kind physics professor let me retake a test, so I didn't lose my scholarship. But physics did not come naturally to me. Mark your calendars for the lead up to Boob Week every year. I love that. Maybe I should mark my calendar. Let's see. Yes, if you have a concept of an idea, it's better. Okay, so Laura is a pen and paper person. Linnea is agnostic on where she writes. Mona says, I love trains. Do you mean like you love to write on the train? Because that's beautiful. Lynn says, depends on my mood. Oh, Mona says, but at desk. Ms. Hughes likes pen and paper. Janet says, I have to write it out. Jessica says, Boob Week? Yes, my essay this week is about boobs. So I've been talking about boobs all week. Lynette says she handwrites most of the time. Yeah, Jessica, you almost missed it, but I'm so glad you're here. There's the essay. Let's see. When it's good enough, it goes to the folder. Pen and paper first, like a nice pen. I love that. I'm agnostic, but I really do prefer writing outdoors. Yes, like Shark Week, but with boobs. Exactly. It's like Shark Week, but with boobs. My process, I cannot write with like this. I draft all of my stories still in Medium because that's where I started. So I have, let me open my draft folder in Medium, 231 drafts. And well, to be fair, a lot of those are when I'm working on a story, if I'm like, I want to pivot this, I'll duplicate it and just put old in the title. So I have and I'll save it, or I'll have when I have to kill my darlings, do you know that expression? Like there's a part of the essay and you love it, but it's not moving the story forward, so you have to kill it. I will make if the story is called I'm breaking up with ChatGPT, it'll be called I'm breaking up with ChatGPT outtakes. So maybe I have like 150 or 160 drafts, but it's a lot. There's a lot in here. All right, I'm gonna rattle off a few titles. Well, I need to write a story about commit bombing, because you may recall my I Write Out Loud essay from a few weeks ago where I talked about avoidant versus anxious attachment and how they are counterbalanced. I introduced a new dating term that I coined, commit bombing, and I want to write a full essay about it. I am really hoping to sell that one somewhere. I want a publication to pick it up. But it is hard to explain that when you're coining a new term. So I do need to come back to writing this essay about commit bombing and what it is. So that's one, commit bombing. I have, a lot of these are older ones, or like outtake ones. 7 things I need to teach my daughter before she leaves for college in 7 months. I think she now leaves in, hold on. She now leaves in 5 months, so now I only have to teach her 5 things. But so a story about the things I want to teach my daughter, and they're not going to be things like you would need to balance a bank account. They're not all going to be functional. Some of them would be a little deeper. That's 2. Um, that's a funny one. I don't know if this will become a full story, but I want to write an article about how dating as a parent of teens is an awful lot like dating as a teenager. I don't have a clever title for it yet, but the most recent men I have dated, they also have teen or tween age children, and trying to date without them bumping into us, or because when we're just dating, they don't know we're dating anybody. I've had my daughters like walk in when a suitor was here, not in a compromising way, but just in a like, oh, hey, this is my friend so-and-so way. But I feel like we're constantly sneaking around as if we're teenagers when really we're the parents of teens. I feel like could be a funny story about that. I have a story about this concept I've coined called the love ladder, which is kind of the steps one goes through in dating, going from like dating to boyfriend to partner, and how I think there needs to be an interstitial step between dating and boyfriend, because there's a phase that I just call lover that's in between, and what it means to be here, and how people don't have definitions. And so without definitions, we tend to bumble, not the dating app, but we tend to mess up as we're moving from one phase to another because the terms aren't defined. And when you say I'm dating someone, that means so many things, different things to so many different people. Boy, I have. Oh, and I want to do one about these. I have a lot of dating ones in my folder. All Gen X dating is grief. I love this title. But what this is about is anyone who is single and looking for a partner at my age, as a Gen X person, we are all in stages of grief, right? We are either grieving the end of a marriage, we are grieving the loss of a spouse, perhaps we are grieving that we have been, and those can be very acute forms of grief. I have encountered men in both of those phases in the relatively recent past, and that they can be very challenging to date because they're processing active grief. But then there are those of us like me who are at least managing. So what I'm looking for, not passive grief, but it's not acute. It is ongoing, like endemic grief. So like I haven't had a partner, like a true partner, in 14 years. And that comes with a lot of grief in that it's just in the background, it's managed, but it is there and it gets triggered. But a passive background grief always takes backstage to an acute grief. And what that means in trying to date. I feel like that could be an interesting story. I'm obviously still working through these, but yeah, these are, oh wait, I can't, I'm like, why do these all, oh, and then another idea is called I'm in a flat relationship again, contrasting a lat relationship with what I'm coining a flat relationship. That's too much to get into. It's already 5:12 or 8:12 on the East Coast. Do any of those sound like interesting stories? I'm going to come back and read the comments and see if anyone weighed in. Sorry, that was kind of a lot of blah, 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 blah. Oh, there's a lot of comments. A lot of folks just joined, I think. So I'm going to put the link in here again. We are done talking about this story, but there we go. Oh my gosh, look at all these comments that just came in. Nothing safer than pen on paper, going back to that question. Jessica says, ooh, I'm still on Medium too. I'm still a boost nominator on Medium. So if you ever have a story that you think is worthy of boosting, send it my way. All my writers for my publications left. And I'm still on Medium too, but if a story of mine doesn't get boosted, I refuse to post it there because it's just competing from an SEO perspective with Substack, and there's no payout. So, those boosts are getting harder and harder to get. Let's see. Medium is a platform like Substack, Janet. similar but different. But it's a writing platform. Lynette said I tried dictation, but it wasn't the same with me. No, dictation for me is great for stuff like take a note. I have an idea. I have actually dictated essay ideas into my either ChatGPT or Claude agent to capture them if I'm on the go, where I'll be like, oh my God, I have this inspiration, blah, 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 and it'll capture it. It's great for that. Because then it'll transcribe it and sometimes even organize it for me if I ask it to. Let me see here. Hi, Jason. Like, don't wear low cut tops unless you're at a Renaissance fair or unless it's boob week, which it is. Let's see here. I need a method because I would like to search by topic. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Lynette. Oh, search your own essays by topic? Yeah, it's hard to search if you're pen and ink, that's for sure. Goodness, look at all of this stuff. I just became separated after 25 years. I can't even imagine trying to date. Oh, Rose, I hope you're happy about the separation. I'm sorry, that's disorienting. That's a really long time to be with someone. Let's see here. You like the idea about my daughter and what I need to teach her before she leaves for college? I will write that before she leaves for college. Knowing the way my brain works, I need to be more actively there before I'll write about it. I like another date bomb. I assume you mean the commit bomb, even though I don't date. My husband does like the idea, I hope. Dating, boyfriend, partner, possibly friend as an intermediary. You know, the dating letter, I would think friend is not on the dating letter. If it is, it's the first stage. Maybe you're friends first and then you begin to date. Yeah, I'm not going to go into all of the details there yet, but that's where it would, at least on my dating letter, that's where that would go. And even then, only if it's a friend who, in a different circumstance, might be someone I would date, not someone who's just a friend. If it's someone I don't have any romantic or sexual interest in, then they're not on the dating letter. They're just a friend. Let me see here. I love that you're welcoming people to Boob Week. That's hilarious. Okay. Rose says, yes, happy to be happy to be able to be myself. It's a wonderful feeling, isn't it? It's like being single is awesome for a lot of reasons. Like, welcome. And I'm happy you've gotten yourself out of a bad situation. Really happy for you. Can you get out of the friend zone? I don't like the expression friend zone. Like, it bristles me pretty hard. To me, it's like incel language. I don't like it as a verb. You got friend zoned. I don't like it as a noun, as a place. People can be your friends. Perhaps sometimes friends can eventually grow into romantic partners, but friend in and of itself is to be not a zone or something to try to elevate out of. I find it mostly men use that expression, and it tends to be men who only see women as a value if they are up for sexual consideration. That's how it sounds in my ears. So, but can you, I think what you're asking is, can one transition from being a friend to being more? Sometimes. It hasn't happened for me much, but I know it's possible. I definitely know people who've gotten into a relationship like that. Friend category reminds me of the Seinfeld episode. Yes, they're real and they are fabulous. What a perfect note to end on, Rose. They are real and they're fabulous. This 55-year-old still got it. Go figure. This has been so much fun. Thanks, you guys. I think it is beyond time for me to get the hook and to get off the camera. So you were thinking of my steps idea. Yeah, I'm going to need to write that essay. That's going to be a tricky one to write, I think, and have it be something that's interesting and not just like a list of things. Not quite sure how that will work, but I hope you all enjoy your Wednesday evening. It is a beautiful night here. I may try to go take my dog for a nice walk while it's still sunny and beautiful. I am going to change my clothes so that I don't, scare my neighborhood walking around with them being like, wow, she's really showing things today. I'm going to go put on a hoodie or something. And I hope you all have a wonderful evening. And tomorrow I'll be on the Daily Whatever Show for Fine Feminist Hour. And I have a super exciting guest, and her name Lindsay Hall. Lindsay Hall is joining me. She is an author. She has an essay about dating and AI that has gone crazy viral. Slate bought it and I think, published it today. I haven't heard back from her with the links yet. And like the New York Times contacted her about it. It is possible to get air on Substack, and her essay is one of them. So we're going to be talking about her essay. We're going to be talking about dating and AI because we have both written essays at the intersection of dating and AI, though our stories are very different. And it should be a super fascinating conversation. That'll be at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific tomorrow morning. So I hope to see you all there. And I hope to see you back on I Write Out Loud as I go live and write stories all the time. Bye, everybody. And yes, you should read her before you show up. If you check my notes, I did just share about it, and I put a link to her essay in it. But it's Lindsay Hall. So if you check on me or check on the Daily Whatever shows, you should find a link to her thing. And it's about like how she broke up with her boyfriend after reading what he wrote about her in ChatGPT. It's quite the story. Okay. Bye all. Love you, mean it.